Right now, there is a plant growing in your backyard, your garden, maybe even cracking through the pavement near your home. And most people who see it do one of two things. They ignore it, or they rip it out and throw it in the trash. But here is what almost nobody tells you. That plant, the one labeled a nuisance, the one farmers spend millions every year trying to eliminate, is one of the most nutrient-dense leafy greens on the planet. Gram for gram, it outperforms spinach in iron. It contains more calcium than milk by weight, and it has been feeding human civilizations for over 8,000 years. The plant is called pigweed, and today, everything you thought you knew about it is about to change. Let's be precise about what we're talking about, because pigweed is a common name applied loosely to several related species. The plant we're focusing on today is primarily Amaranthus retroflexus, commonly known as redroot pigweed, and its close relatives Amaranthus hybridus, smooth pigweed, and Amaranthus viridis, slender amaranth. All three belong to the family Amaranthaceae, the same botanical family that includes spinach, beets, and quinoa. That family connection alone should tell you something important. The genus name Amaranthus comes from the Greek word amaranthos, meaning unfading or immortal. Ancient Greeks used that name deliberately because amaranth plants refuse to wilt quickly. Their flowers held their color long after being cut. There is poetry in that name because the story of this plant has refused to fade despite centuries of being dismissed. Now let's talk about what this plant actually looks like, because most people walk past it every day without recognition. Pigweed is an upright, fast-growing annual herb. In favorable conditions, it can reach heights of 1 to 2 meters, sometimes even taller, in a single growing season. Its stems are thick, slightly ridged, and often tinged with red or pink near the base, which is where the name red root comes from. The leaves are broad, oval to diamond-shaped, with a slightly wavy margin and a dull, matte green surface. When you hold a leaf up to light, you can see fine veining running through it. The flowers are small, dense, and clustered into bristly, spike-like inflorescences, those rough, greenish flower clusters you've probably seen on mature plants, and dismissed as just seed heads. And those seed heads matter more than most people realize. Each mature pigweed plant can produce anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000 tiny seeds per season. Those seeds are incredibly hardy. They can remain viable in the soil for 20 to 40 years. This is part of why farmers consider it so difficult to control. But flipped around, it's also why pigweed has survived everything: drought, poor soil, neglect, even herbicide resistance, while more pampered crops have failed. What makes pigweed truly rule-breaking in the plant kingdom is its classification as a C4 photosynthesis plant. Most food crops, wheat, rice, potatoes, use the older, less efficient C3 pathway. C4 plants like pigweed and corn can photosynthesize at much higher temperatures, with much less water, and under intense sunlight without shutting down. This means pigweed is biologically built for resilience in ways that most of our carefully bred food crops simply are not. So as farmers battle it, spray it, and curse it, pigweed keeps growing. It keeps seeding. It keeps thriving. One of the most remarkable things about pigweed is that it doesn't ask for much. While farmers spend enormous resources preparing perfect soil conditions for crops like tomatoes, peppers, or corn, pigweed does what it wants, where it wants, with almost nothing. Let's break down exactly what conditions this plant thrives in, because this information is just as useful for the home gardener wanting to grow it intentionally as it is for the farmer trying to manage it. Climate: pigweed is a warm season plant. It grows most vigorously in temperatures between 25 degrees Celsius and 35 degrees Celsius, 77 degrees Fahrenheit to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. It is highly heat tolerant and drought resistant, though it grows fastest when it receives moderate moisture. It is killed by frost, so in temperate climates, it behaves as a summer annual, germinating in spring, growing through summer, and seeding before the first autumn frost. Soil: pigweed is remarkably flexible. It grows in sandy soils, loamy soils, and even compacted, disturbed soils with low organic matter. It prefers well-drained conditions and a soil pH between 6.0 and 7.5, though it tolerates slightly acidic or alkaline soils too. It is one of the first plants to colonize disturbed land, roadsides, construction sites, abandoned fields, which is why ecologists classify it as a ruderal species, meaning a plant that specializes in disturbed habitats. Global distribution. Pigweed species in the Amaranthus genus are found on every inhabited continent. Amaranthus retroflexus originated in North America, specifically the central and eastern regions, but has since naturalized across Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, and Australia through centuries of human movement and agricultural trade. Today, it grows in over 70 countries. In the United States, it is found in all 48 contiguous states. In India, varieties like Amaranthus viridis and Amaranthus tricolor have been cultivated as leafy vegetables for generations. In parts of East and West Africa, amaranth leaves are sold in local markets as a daily cooking green. In Mexico and Central America, amaranth has deep pre-Columbian cultural roots. The Aztecs cultivated it as a staple food crop alongside maize and beans. Top producing countries when it comes to intentional cultivation of amaranth, the cultivated relatives of wild pigweed: China, India, Mexico, Peru, and several countries in sub-Saharan Africa are the largest producers. China grows vast quantities of amaranth, both for grain and leaf consumption. Peru and Bolivia cultivate grain amaranth varieties closely related to pigweed at significant commercial scale. Growth timeline. This is where pigweed becomes genuinely impressive. Under warm conditions, pigweed seeds germinate in just 3 to 5 days after soil contact. Seedlings emerge quickly and begin establishing a taproot within the first week. By week 2 to 3, the plant is producing true leaves and entering rapid vegetative growth. This is actually the ideal window to harvest young leaves for eating, as they are tender and mild at this stage. By week 4 to 6, the plant is producing significant leaf biomass. By week 8 to 12, under full sun, a pigweed plant can reach full height and begin flowering. Seeds mature roughly 70 to 90 days after germination, depending on the variety and climate. Can you grow it at home? Absolutely yes. Pigweed and cultivated amaranth varieties can be grown in garden beds, raised beds, and even large containers of at least 30 centimeters depth. If growing intentionally for food, you can direct sow seeds on the soil surface. They need light to germinate, so do not bury them deeply. Water consistently during the first 2 weeks, then reduce watering as the plant establishes. For continuous leaf harvests, cut the top growth regularly to delay flowering and keep the plant producing tender leaves. This is a plant that farmers around the world are simultaneously fighting against and beginning to cultivate on purpose. And once you hear what it does for the human body, you'll understand exactly why. Let's talk about what pigweed actually delivers: nutritionally, medicinally, ecologically, and economically. Because the science here is not speculative, researchers have been studying Amaranthus species for decades, and the data is consistent and compelling. Nutritional value. Leaves. Fresh pigweed leaves are extraordinarily nutrient-dense. According to published nutritional analyses, per 100 grams of raw amaranthus leaves, you receive approximately 2.5 to 3.5 grams of protein, significantly higher than most leafy greens. The iron content is impressive, around 3 milligrams per 100 grams, which rivals or exceeds spinach. Calcium content sits at approximately 215 milligrams per 100 grams, comparable to dairy products by weight. Pigweed leaves are also rich in vitamin C, around 43 milligrams per 100 g, vitamin A in the form of beta-carotene, vitamin K, folate, magnesium, and potassium. These are not trace amounts. These are clinically meaningful concentrations. Nutritional value. Seeds. The seeds of grain amaranth varieties, which are close relatives of wild pigweed, have been extensively studied. They contain 13 to 17% protein by dry weight, and critically, that protein contains lysine, an essential amino acid that is deficient in most grain crops, including wheat, rice, and corn. This makes amaranth seed a complete or near-complete protein source, which is rare in the plant kingdom. The seeds also contain squalene, a naturally occurring compound, studied for its antioxidant and potential anti-inflammatory properties. Human health benefits. The high iron and folate content in pigweed leaves makes them valuable for preventing and managing iron deficiency anemia, a condition affecting roughly 1.6 billion people globally, according to the World Health Organization. The calcium content supports bone density and muscle function. The beta-carotene converts to vitamin A in the body, supporting eye health, immune function, and skin integrity. Traditional medicine in various cultures, including Ayurvedic practice in India and indigenous healing systems in Mexico and the American Southwest, has used pigweed preparations to address digestive complaints, inflammation, and as a general nutritive tonic. While these traditional uses are not fully validated by randomized clinical trials, the nutritional basis for many of these effects is scientifically sound. One important note: pigweed leaves, like spinach and beets, contain oxalic acid. For most people, moderate consumption is completely safe. However, individuals with a history of kidney stones or gout should consume it in moderation and ideally cook it before eating, as cooking reduces oxalate content significantly. Benefits for animals. The name pigweed itself reflects a long agricultural history of using this plant as animal fodder. Pigs, goats, cattle, and poultry will readily eat pigweed leaves and stems. Research published in Livestock Nutrition journals has confirmed that amaranth leaf silage can partially replace conventional forage in ruminant diets without compromising animal health or productivity. In poultry farming, amaranth seed meal has been studied as a partial substitute for soybean meal in chicken feed, with positive results for growth and egg production. Environmental benefits. Pigweed is a powerful ecological contributor. Its deep taproot breaks up compacted soil and improves drainage and aeration. As a fast-growing plant, it captures atmospheric carbon quickly during its short life cycle. When it decomposes, it returns organic matter and nutrients to the soil. Its dense flower spikes attract bees, wasps, and beneficial insects that serve as pollinators and pest predators in surrounding crops. And in disturbed or degraded land, it acts as a pioneer species, stabilizing bare soil, reducing erosion, and preparing the ground for other vegetation to follow. The same resilience that makes farmers frustrated with pigweed is exactly what makes it a remarkable ecological and nutritional resource. Nature rarely makes mistakes. Sometimes what we call a weed is simply a plant whose value we haven't learned to see yet. Here is a thought worth sitting with for a moment. For thousands of years, before industrial agriculture, before supermarkets, before vitamin supplements, people fed their families with plants that grew wild and free around their homes. Pigweed was one of those plants. The Aztec Empire, one of the most sophisticated civilizations in pre-Columbian history, considered Amaranthus species sacred enough to use in religious ceremonies. They fed armies with its seeds. They traded it like currency. Then colonization came, and those food traditions were deliberately suppressed. Today, we are rediscovering what was always there. Why you should grow pigweed deliberately. If you have a garden, even a small one, growing pigweed intentionally, or simply allowing a controlled patch of it to exist, gives you access to one of the most nutritious leafy greens available, with essentially zero input cost, no expensive fertilizers, no special irrigation, no pest management. It grows when other things fail. In regions experiencing climate stress, drought, or food insecurity, pigweed is not just convenient, it can be genuinely important. For subsistence farmers and smallholders, particularly in tropical and semi-arid regions of Africa, South Asia, and Latin America, pigweed and its cultivated amaranth relatives represent a low-cost, high-nutrition food security crop that can be integrated into any farming system. Organizations like the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, have published guidance acknowledging amaranth's potential as an underutilized crop with significant nutritional and climate resilience value. Seed preservation matters. One of the most important things any gardener or farmer can do is save seeds from their healthiest pigweed plants. This is called open pollinated seed saving, and it is free, simple, and powerful. Allow a healthy plant to go to seed. Cut the seed heads when they begin to dry and brown, place them in a paper bag, and thresh the seeds out by hand. Store them in a cool, dry location, and they will remain viable for years. By saving seeds, you are preserving a genetic resource that is adapted to your specific local climate, your soil, your rainfall patterns, your temperatures. That local adaptation is genuinely irreplaceable and cannot be purchased at any garden center. Economic opportunity. The global market for amaranth grain and flour has grown substantially over the past decade, driven by demand from health food consumers, the gluten-free food sector, and sports nutrition markets. In the United States, amaranth grain retails for approximately $4 to $8 per kilogram in specialty food stores. Amaranth microgreens, which can be grown from pigweed seeds in just 7 to 12 days, command premium prices at farmers' markets and through restaurant supply channels. For smallholder farmers willing to invest in post-harvest processing and local marketing, amaranth represents a genuine income diversification opportunity alongside staple crops. Even at a household level, consider the cost of the greens you buy at a grocery store. A bunch of spinach, kale, or Swiss chard might cost the equivalent of $1 or $2 per serving. Pigweed costs nothing beyond the space it grows in, and nutritionally, it gives you more. The bigger picture. We are living in a moment when global food systems are being stressed by climate change, rising input costs, soil degradation, and biodiversity loss. The answer to those challenges is not going to come entirely from laboratories and corporations. Part of the answer is sitting in your backyard right now. It is resilient, it is nutritious, it is free, and it has been feeding human beings for 8 millennia. The next time you see pigweed growing, pause before you pull it. Look at it differently. This is not a failure in your garden. This is nature offering you something valuable at no cost. The same gift it has offered every farming community that was wise enough to accept it. If this video changed how you see this plant, give it a like, share it with someone who gardens or farms, and subscribe for more science-backed content about the plants that are reshaping how we think about food, farming, and our relationship with the natural world. The most powerful things in nature are often the ones we've been taught to overlook.